Since 3-4 years, there's a crisis in Europe, you know it.
Siamo in un pezzo di Europa, il Cadore è un pezzo dell'Europa e come l'Europa anche il Cadore ha avuto e ha tanti problemi economici e sociali per un modello di sviluppo e di coesione che non funzionava più.
So we see a deep ecological crisis, we see a social crisis of inequalities, and we see a crisis of economic instability with the financial crisis and the problems in the financial markets.
There are some member countries, some member states who are more in the crisis than others, but in the end I think also Germany and Scandinavia will come to this crisis.
The euro crisis has been caused also by the large costs of imports of oil and gas. Greece, Spain, Portugal were hit heavily by increased oil prices.
Η χώρα μας ταλαιπωρείται από μια κρίση η οποία έχει δημιουργήσει και μια απεσιοδοξία.
The most important thing in business and in economy is confidence. There is, and at this moment, there is no real confidence in the future.
Those young people who can get a job because there's too much unemployment for them in the area, but 25%.
Most of the people who study normally go away, go far, because here have no chance to work.
Qui abbiamo vissuto la crisi del modello sociale ed economico europeo che era nato nel dopoguerra attraverso il welfare e l'industria e oggi viviamo sulla nostra pelle la crisi del processo di globalizzazione e dell'economia liberale.
Bei der Finanzkrise, die wir jetzt hinter uns haben, hat man deutlich festgestellt, dass die Risiken gerade aus dieser Machthäufung des Kapitals kommt und nicht aus dem sogenannten Mittelstand.
It's not in the companies, it's in the banks, in the superstructures, governments.
We see how close all is connected worldwide. So there is one problem with a bank in the United States and we have the problems here in Europe.
Banken Land auf Land ab in Europa und auch auf der Welt.
The international financial system now is operating with the same criteria that have caused the crisis.
Im Bereich des Investmentbankings haben wir ja sehr schön gesehen, wie durch dieses Haschen nach immer mehr und nach immer mehr Gewinn, nach immer mehr Risiko am Ende auch ein System vor einem Zusammenbruch stehen kann.
Just an example, nowadays is considered more risky and more dangerous to give loans to the real economy and less risky to give loans or better to buy hedge funds.
People more and more have big problems to understand this very difficult and complex situation in our economy nowadays.
More and more people get conscious about their own acting and the problems we have in the society.
Hanno capito che alla fine bisogna partire da noi stessi, cioè da partire anche da come viviamo, da come gestiamo le nostre risorse e anche il denaro.
Every economic action or economic activity makes only sense if it serves to the people. That's the only reason to do an economic activity.
Questo territorio era la patria dell'occhiale mondiale. L'occhiale è nato in questo territorio e qui il distretto dell'occhialeria è andato in crisi e in pochi anni 3.000 lavoratori hanno perso l'occupazione.
We don't send people away, we don't do this because we're another kind of organization.
We have, as a so-called third sector economy, a possibility of a way out of this crisis, because social economy on the whole is defined by profit is not the priority what we have to achieve. What we have to achieve is jobs on the one hand, and environmental friendly products and services on the other hand.
Cooperative economy and cooperatives are a third way, an alternative for communism and capitalism. The first is dead and the second is bankrupt.
Cooperatives today are very steady because they invest in people, in work, in food or products which are near to the people they use it.
All over Europe there are cooperatives. Perhaps it's not very clear to the outside world. They are. They should be more proud about it. They should show that it's an alternative.
I think in Germany there is no activities of small and medium enterprises where people are not cooperating in cooperatives or in other forms of cooperatives.
And there is no sector in the economy where cooperatives are not successful.
The cooperative idea is based on solidarity.
Αυτό, αν το δει κανείς ιστορικά, έχει γίνει σε όλες τις περιπτώσεις που η ανθρωπότητα ή κάποια κράτη ή κάποιες περιοχές αντιμετώπισαν παρόμοια προβλήματα. Μέσα από συλλογικότητα προέκυψε η λύση.
Our cooperatives have a long history in Germany. The first cooperatives have been founded 150 years ago in the financial sector, in the agricultural sector, also in the service and trading sector.
Die Leute waren in Not und wollten damit einander helfen und dadurch ist eigentlich der Genossenschaftsgedanke geboren.
Αυτό που δεν είναι γνωστό είναι ότι έναν αιώνα πριν στη Θεσσαλία, στα Αμπελάκια, αναπτύχθηκε για πρώτη φορά συνεργατικό κίνημα σε ολόκληρη την Ευρώπη.
The cooperative business is all about that individuals join voluntarily and in a group, and they establish by themselves an enterprise, a business. All this happens or should happen without the involvement of the state, of government, and the individuals, the members. They must of course share a common need, a common interest.
Die Mitglieder tragen ja die Genossenschaften und sie stimmen ab, was letztendlich getan wird. Und nicht irgendjemand vom Kapital, der in Amerika ist oder in England ist oder bei uns ist und dann einfach sagt, so und so muss es sein, sondern die Mitglieder sind das tragende Element der Genossenschaft.
The members of cooperatives also share certain very important values, such as justice, democracy, freedom, and responsibility.
There work people together to realize a project, which they alone not can do.
A lot of young people learn their job in this cooperatives.
Newly established cooperatives are taking place in new sectors, not always anymore as in these traditional sectors like agriculture or banking, but in new fields like renewable energy, where they are very strong, in healthcare, social services. They provide access for people into certain cultural activities.
The cooperative movement is a very important part of the energy revolution, because this means participation.
So I think cooperatives are a real alternative, although of course each cooperative has to be judged individually, and there are also some cooperatives who are, for instance, in dirty agriculture, where I would say not because it's a cooperative, it's necessarily everything green.
We are, say, a confederation of federations. Under our roof we have several pillars of cooperatives. We have cooperative banks, we have cooperatives in agriculture, we have cooperatives in the service sector, and consumer cooperatives. They are all linked together under the roof of the DGRV. And in addition, we have also an important sector in Germany are the housing cooperatives, about 2,000 housing cooperatives.
The Banca Etica in Italy or in Germany, the Gemeinschaftsbank, they have played an important role to finance sustainable investments.
Only one piece of wood, all the same. The important things happen not at the place where you have the material. The important things happened between. The form from the bank is not possible with wood. The form is only possible with the between. And it's the same with the bank. The bank is an office, it works between things. The communication between persons. Between is a word that's very important for the bank.
The bank has to serve the economic and to bring money where it is needed, and to receive money where it is not needed. That's the goal of a bank. They become members because they want that money is used for humanity and not an abstract capital which has to, the only game is to produce interest. The people spend money for the people. That's a gesture we have in our bank. We don't invest, so not in weapons and not in special chemical industries and so on. But we have also positive criteria. How they have organized their co-workers and so on, so that they have really no children work and things like that. 40% of our loan portfolio is invested in social field, and 40% is in ecological field, mainly renewable energies, but also eco-farming. That's not what we want to pay the highest interest rate, but we want to pay the average of the market rate. And that's what we do since we are founded in 1974. If you have the goal to serve the people in a holistic way, then you have to do that in an economic way. And if you do that properly, the result will be profit, but not the other way around. And that's a problem we have at the moment. And for this, if you have this picture, it is the right form is a cooperative. So therefore we are a cooperative bank. We have a growth of 20 to 30% for now 5 or 6 years. And we expect that this growth will going on in the future.
They build buildings and we build photovoltaic on the roofs.
The money we need for the houses we get from banks, like the GLS bank for example, and then we let the flats for a low rent. In our new houses we strictly look for new technologies, example like geothermy. So we look to protect the environment as much as possible.
In Germany is not so much sun, but if we put the photovoltaic on every roof, then maybe we could make 20 or 30% of the power we need here in Germany only with the photovoltaic.
It's a new technology and we have to convince the people. A lot of our members are quite old and we have to tell them again and again that it's better for the environment and for them at least to buy electricity from alternative energies than the classical nuclear power, for example.
This cooperative is good for the people because we are not to look too much money. We make our business here for the people who lives here.
La storia di Banca Etica non è la storia delle altre banche, è una storia che parte lontano. È una specie di crocevia, il punto d'incontro di questi movimenti della pace, dell'ambiente, della centralità della persona, di un'economia al servizio dell'uomo, insomma tutte queste cose che negli ultimi, della cooperazione anche soprattutto visto che siamo una cooperativa. Quindi Banca Etica di fatto è stato il tentativo di tradurre in ambito finanziario questa esperienza che i vari movimenti avevano vissuto negli anni. E quindi è partito dal basso, non eravamo dei banchieri, non eravamo dei bancari e quindi anche l'informalità che si vede e anche il modo in cui si gestiscono le relazioni risentono anche di questa dimensione associativa.
Loans are 80% in non-profit sector or cooperative sector and 20% in renewable energy or the needs of our client, like first house buying.
We financed also the real economy. We haven't derivative product. We haven't no operation in speculation.
Has been the first bank in the world to put all the loans on the website. And this helped a lot to really show the people that transparency and common good and loans is not just a declaration, but it's something that you can verify on the website on your own.
Siamo partiti nel 99, eravamo una decina di persone e adesso siamo circa 200-210 persone. Da una parte sono queste aspirazioni, dall'altra parte alle volte c'è un po' di frustrazione perché certe cose si sono realizzate e altre non si sono realizzate, quindi è un po' questo percorso faticoso nell'arrivare a definire anche da un punto di vista organizzativo questa banca, cioè come conciliare istanze sociali con quelle che sono le esigenze economiche.
La Costigliola is a project owned by Banca Etica. We think that sustainable development is the future, and so because of this we try to demonstrate that it is possible, that people can work for it and also to gain from it, gain in an ethical way. So we try to do here, to practice here these values. We The land, we have crops, vinery, vegetables, and host people for meetings and also for sleeping if they want, in this beautiful place near Padova, near the headquarters of Banca Etica. There are 35,000 people in Italy that are members of the bank and that believe that a new world is possible, and they believe in sustainable development, in cooperation, in peace, in these things that can change the world in better.
This is a place where I like to sit on a good day. Best place in Aachen.
The renewable energy law in Germany, that was first implemented in Aachen. And after that, it was taken over in whole Germany and now in many countries of the world.
It was invented in Aachen 25 years ago, and it took quite a time before politicians in Aachen took it over. And then it took some more time before the utility to which it was directed took it over, meaning that when you produce electricity from renewable energy, solar, wind, you have to buy back the money, to get back the money that you invested from selling the electricity. That was the first idea. And it's quite a normal thing for all the normal companies that sell and produce and sell electricity from conventional energy. But for renewables, it was quite a new idea because energy from renewables at that time was very expensive. Two things: access to the grid and fixed tariffs that will allow you to invest in this type of energy production.
Because this fixed-in tariff can be spread to all customers who buy electricity. And this is very just because those who consume more energy give a larger contribution to the renewable energies.
All the little suns that you can see here are PV plants, photovoltaic plants, that have been built in Aachen during the last, well, let's say 20 years.
We started about 20 years ago with this initiative, and there were many obstacles to overcome. So, but within 2 years' time, we got the money together.
The electricity
company
yeah. Here, they said we will never have more than 4% electric energy. We already have 20%.
We have now 90 people that are owners of this machine, and that was one of the first bigger machines in the area. Nowadays we also have a lot of photovoltaic on the roofs, and people want to have this change to the renewable energies.
And that's the new development. 2 million cooperatives and farmers and other people having PV plants on their roofs. And in the south, on almost every farmhouse you will see photovoltaic modules.
Invested my little money in green techniques. When I look in the future, my aim is to produce the electricity and all the energy only from renewals, and this should not only be in Germany but also in complete Europe and worldwide.
Some years ago, I made a study which shows how Germany could provide itself with 100% renewable energies. Therefore, I know it is possible. And I also know it is very urgent and it is very necessary that we need to change to 100% renewables as soon as possible.
EcoPower was founded in 1991 in order to give people from our region, from Flanders, the opportunity to invest in renewable energy. In the beginning of the 90s, it was not evident that renewable energy projects were profitable.
You cannot become a customer, you have to become an owner, so you have to buy a share. And once you buy a share, you can get electricity from them. It's cheaper than all the other electricity providers.
I went to EcoPower for the clean energy. I don't want the nuclear system. I don't want it.
And because I have a share, I get a dividend every year, so I make a little bit of money on top of it. And I support a local economic entity.
Once we had production from our wind turbines and small hydropower stations, in 2003 the electricity and gas market in Flanders was liberalized, and our cooperative members, they asked in the General Assembly that EcoPower would become also a supplier of green electricity. And from that moment on, from the moment we became a supplier, EcoPower had, instead of hundreds of members, had thousands of members.
Cooperations are very important for the city of Eeklo, and that's why we also chose EcoPower to work with. People want to invest, and they also accept the wind turbines more when it's a cooperation story.
The money we invested, up to now it was about 40 million euros, is all money coming from our cooperative members. So this gives us the opportunity to also to invest in projects which a bank probably wouldn't support. It is wise to invest in all forms of renewable energy, and that's also what the EcoPower does. So we invest in wind turbines, photovoltaic installations, small hydropower, and in biomass projects. So because the different forms of renewable energy, they add to each other. We really believe that we are now in an energy transition period, which goes from central production to decentralized production. We go from fossil and nuclear to renewable, and we're looking for the right size for technology. Often now the size is too big, so a lot of energy is wasted in big power stations. 60% of the energy is wasted because you can't distribute the heat because it's too much. So you should downsize production facilities to a stage where the energy can be used completely, or 80% or 85% or 90%.
One of the greatest challenges of our time is energy, because every one of our citizens pays for energy. And the question is, where does the energy come from and where does the money go? And we say we want to produce clean, affordable energy for our people, and we want to attract business, create jobs. My name is Peter Wadasz, and I have been mayor of the town of Güssing since 1992.
This part of Austria, this region here, was one of the poorest regions in Austria.
Among the most serious problems was the unemployment. And so many people left this region because they saw no perspective, they saw no hope for the future.
Der Wald, den wir uns hier befinden, ist mein Eigentum. Das habe ich von meinen Eltern geerbt, meine Eltern von meinen Großeltern.
And we said in 1992, why not try and turn the tide? Go into renewable energy.
Ich in der Nähe oder die Leute in der Nähe ihren Arbeitsplatz haben und auch ihren sicheren Arbeitsplatz. Also für die Umwelt sowieso positiv, weil, sage ich mal, wir heizen kein Öl. Wir, sage ich mal, verheizen unser Holz, das wir da haben. Wir brauchen keine Transportmittel, die uns das Öl bringen, und das Geld bleibt, sage ich mal, in der Region. Das ist nicht wenig.
And we started out with a district heating in 1996. And we decided in our town council to connect all public buildings like schools, kindergartens, town hall. And then, of course, we had many talks and discussions with the people, trying to convince them that renewable energy was just as good, as affordable as fossil energy.
Due to the fact that we have the resources to produce the heat here from our region, we can guarantee them a stable price.
Wir sind seit 6 Jahren Fernwärmekunden hier in Güssing. Früher haben wir mit Öl unsere Wärme hergestellt. Jetzt können wir mit der Fernwärme unsere Heizwärme bzw. auch Warmwasser erzeugen. Wir sind sehr zufrieden mit dieser Lösung. Wir haben einen Preisvorteil dadurch. Wir können jährlich ca. 30% ersparen von den Heizkosten, und wir können auch unsere Umwelt dadurch schützen.
It was also very important to note that they will have no loss of comfort when they change from oil to a biomass boiler. And this argument of a stable price of heat is not only interesting for private households, it is also very interesting for companies. So it was possible to attract the 2 biggest factories producing parquet floor here in Austria, because they need a lot of heat during the whole year. And at the same time, they have a lot of waste wood from the production of the parquet floor. And this waste wood goes back to the district heating plant as a resource to produce the heat which goes back to the parquet floor factory. The next step was not only to produce heat, but also to produce electricity, because it is a more efficient utilization of one resource, biomass. And so the community of Güssing started a cooperation with the researchers of the Technical University of Vienna.
And this technology made it possible to produce heat, electricity, synthetic natural gas, and in small quantities, even fuels, diesel and gasoline. And of course, after 2 years of negotiations, we were able to build a pilot project right here in this town. The political impact is a great one. You reduce dependency on the large energy companies. Of course, you will easily understand that the large power companies are not our friends. In the beginning, they tried to prevent all our efforts, because energy is the question of the future. And we think that not global energy, but locally produced energy is the answer to many of our problems of today.
Die ökumenische Energiegenossenschaft Horb will die Umwelt bewahren, weniger CO2 ausstoßen und dazu bauen wir Photovoltaikanlagen vor allem auf Kirchendächer oder auf Dächer der Städte oder Gemeinden und damit auch Voraussetzungen schaffen, dass unsere Kinder und Kindeskinder noch leben können auf dem Planeten.
Und die Stadt Horb hat sich ja vorgenommen, eine klimaneutrale Kommune bis zum Jahr 2050 zu sein. Das heißt, die Stadt möchte dann ihren Strom für ihre Bevölkerung und für ihre Industrie selbst produzieren. Und da sind wir ein Teil davon, um mitzuhelfen, dieses Ziel zu erreichen.
Und wir würden die Energiewende ganz sicher nicht schaffen, oder werden es nicht schaffen, wenn es nicht gelingt, diese alternative Energie auf breite Ebene zu stellen. Und nicht einzelne Kapitalisten dann den Markt bestimmen, sondern das ist jetzt eine Öffnung nach mehr Kompetenz der Bevölkerung.
The Volksbank Nagoldtal was founded in 1865 as a Handwerkerbank. At the beginning a small bank, and now we are a modern, innovative bank, a cooperative bank in the area of Nagold. Der Mitarbeiter ist für uns ein wichtiges, eigentlich das wichtigste Gut. Und deshalb investieren wir sehr viel Geld in die Aus- und Weiterbildung unserer Mitarbeiter. Wir sind in 2 Stiftungen aktiv tätig und können über diese Stiftungen soziale Projekte in der Region finanziell unterstützen. When some customer come to us to bring us deposits, they can choose different products. Some normal standard products and some green products. When the customer chooses the green products, he gets from us a higher interest. At the moment we have 26 million of loans for ecological projects, photovoltaic projects or for education or social enterprises.
Οι επιχειρήσεις κοινωνικού χαρακτήρα έχουν συνήθως μεγαλύτερο ρίσκο. Εμείς όμως έχουμε την διάθεση να το αποδεχθούμε το ρίσκο αυτό. Διότι μπορούμε και να διαγνώσουμε και την επιτυχία αυτού του εγχειρήματος, διότι είμαστε εδώ, κοντά τους, δίπλα τους. Και πρόσφατα έχουμε μπει και στη χρηματοδότηση της ενέργειας μέσω των φωτοβολταϊκών πάρκων που χρηματοδοτούμε και άλλων μορφών ενέργειας, όπως μικρά υδροηλεκτρικά εργοστάσια, όπως και το εργοστάσιο που τώρα δημιουργεί η ΕΣΕΚ της βιομάζας.
Η Ενεργειακή Συνεταιριστική Εταιρεία Καρδίτσας έχει σαν σκοπό την παραγωγή ηλεκτρικής ενέργειας από βιομάζα. Δεν είναι όμως μοναδικός μας στόχος η παραγωγή της ηλεκτρικής ενέργειας. Αν λάβουμε υπόψη ότι η θερμική ενέργεια είναι τουλάχιστον διπλάσια, προσδοκούμε ότι θα έρθουν και θα στηριχθούν πάνω σε εμάς δραστηριότητες οι οποίες έχουν μεγάλη ανάγκη την θερμότητα.
Στο τραπεζικό σύστημα υπάρχουν τεράστιες αλλαγές τον τελευταίο καιρό. Η επιδίωξη της Τρόικας και της Τράπεζας Ελλάδος είναι να μείνουν λίγες μεγάλες τράπεζες. Οδηγούμαστε σε σχήματα των 3 ή των 4 μεγάλων τραπεζών, όπου πολλοί πιστεύουν ότι οι μικροί δεν έχουν θέση. Εμείς πιστεύουμε εδώ το αντίθετο. Πιστεύουμε ότι οι μικροί σε μια κοινωνία γιγάντων έχουν τη θέση τους. Έχουν τη θέση τους τοπικά. Μπορούν κάλλιστα στο μέγεθός τους να εξυπηρετούν την τοπική τους κοινωνία όπως και πριν και μάλιστα να εξυπηρετούν με μεγαλύτερη ευελιξία και με μεγαλύτερη κατανόηση προς τους πελάτες τους.
Τα πάρκα αυτά αποδίδουν συνολικά κάθε χρόνο γύρω στις 60.000 ευρώ στην ενεργειακή δημοτική επιχείρηση του Δήμου Καρδίτσας Και τα χρήματα αυτά αξιοποιούνται από το Δήμο μας για να προωθήσουν δράσεις και εκδηλώσεις που αφορούν την προστασία του περιβάλλοντος και την προώθηση αυτής της ιδέας, κυρίως στους νέους ανθρώπους. Θεωρώ ότι η μεγαλύτερη αξία αυτής της επένδυσης που έγινε από το Δήμο μας είναι στο ότι έδωσε την κατεύθυνση στους δημότες και έδειξε πώς μπορεί ο καθένας μας να πάρει πρωτοβουλίες προς αυτή την κατεύθυνση της αξιοποίησης των ανανεώσιμων πηγών ενέργειας. Και πραγματικά μετά από αυτό πολλοί ιδιώτες δημότες ανέλαβαν δράση και επένδυσαν ήδη στην περιοχή μας, βάζοντας φωτοβολταϊκά στις στέγες τους, χρησιμοποιώντας φιλικότερα καύσιμα για τη θέρμανση των οικειών τους.
The Réseau Cocagne is a federation of more than 100 organic gardens in France, which purpose is always to give people who need it a real job.
L'objectif de la ferme, c'est de faire pousser des plantes, mais surtout faire pousser des hommes.
We make organic vegetables that we mainly sell in baskets that people can get every week. We give a job to young people from 18 to 26 who have social problems.
Notre but, c'est d'accueillir des jeunes qui vont venir travailler ici. Et notre support d'activité, c'est l'agriculture biologique. C'est un support qui va très très bien avec l'insertion sociale parce que les jeunes travaillent, ils vont planter, ils vont semer et ils vont récolter le fruit de leur semis. Attention.
I read an article about the CSA initiative in Belgium, Community Supported Agriculture Farm, and I thought this is it. This is what I want to do.
Pay a subscription fixed one amount per year, and with that you can pick as much vegetables and a little bit of fruit for the whole family for our own consumption.
And our children find it very nice because they learn about the vegetables, they see how they grow, they know that potatoes are in the ground and tomatoes are above the ground.
It's also good that they know and that we know that it takes a lot of effort to make our food.
In fact, all the vegetables that you see on the field are the vegetables of the shareholders. They're not my vegetables. I grow them for them, and that's my part of the job, and their part of the job is to harvest.
It's based on trust, because if you then go and sell it or you take more than your own share, then the whole concept doesn't work anymore.
Community-supported agriculture goes further because, in fact, the consumer and the farmer share risks, contribute to bring the capital together, share labor, and the farmer is very much linked with his community. Of course, the farmer needs to be skilled and needs to do everything to diminish risks. But of course, weather and all these circumstances you can never foresee. But you can also diminish risks by large diversification. The monoculture is much more risky, and that is what we see with the farmers. Just look around me, I have this corn farmer, it's all corn, 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 and this little hectare is one big, large biodiversity all over, so there are so many plants and animals and around here, and I think that's the future of agriculture. It can give people who are not from farmer families the chance to start with a farm and make it a viable experience, because that is the most important thing. It can be viable for a farmer, and it can be even more profitable than what you see nowadays with farms who are so large, living for a large amount on subsidies and so on, and still have trouble to survive.
Τα προϊόντα που παράγουμε στο συνεταιρισμό είναι σπιτικά γλυκά, ζυμαρικά, καλλυντικά προϊόντα και λαδάκια τα οποία έχουν θεραπευτικές ιδιότητες. Όλα τα προϊόντα μας βασίζονται στις παλιές παραδοσιακές συνταγές. Άλλαξε πάρα πολύ τη ζωή των γυναικών και πόσο μάλλον κάποιες κυρίες οι οποίες είναι μεγαλύτερες σε ηλικία δεν είχαν κάπου αλλού μεροκάματο, παρόλο που είχαν πολλές γνώσεις και για σπιτικά γλυκά και ξέρανε πολλές συνταγές όσο και για αυτά τα φυτικά προϊόντα. Και είναι και ένας τρόπος που βγήκαν από το σπίτι και μπορούν και επικοινωνούν και με άλλο κόσμο. Ο σκοπός του συνεταιρισμού είναι κάποια στιγμή να κάνει ένα μεγάλο εργαστήριο και αυτά τα φυτικά προϊόντα να μπορούμε να τα εξάγουμε και στο εξωτερικό.
We try to create a social-cultural movement on food. Why is that important in Flanders today? That is because the government tries to promote agriculture for international markets and we lose some cultural heritage instead. That is how to produce different kinds of food on local basis. And I make groupments of farmers and groupments of people who are interested in buying locally. And then I try to match both. What can the farmer give? Wanting to sell, and what are the people wanting to buy. So the people, their buying list, they put it on the internet. It's a web storage. At Friday, one central point gets all the information and they send it towards the farmers. Those farmers, they know in the weekend what to produce and what to sell, what to give away. And from that central point, it goes to the different places. And the people, they should pay a little fee from year to year, 10 euros. The most of them are buying because of ethical consciousness. They learned about how food is produced here. They know it's not in a sustainable way and they want to be part of the alternative. That is why they are members. Some people are members because of the social context. You are in a team, you get to know each other, you share recipes, you talk with each other, you organize things together.
Hier in Neustadt gab es vor etlicher Zeit hier mindestens 3 Lokale. Nach und nach haben die Gaststätten geschlossen. Das ist die einzige Begegnungsstätte hier im kleinen Ort Neustadt, wo man noch etwas bewerkstelligen kann oder feiern kann. Wenn jetzt einmal das Gebäude verloren geht, weil die jetzige Eigentümerin es verkauft, dann ist der Saal und alle Räumlichkeiten für immer verloren. Die Dorfbevölkerung hat sich zusammengeschlossen, um diese Läden zu retten, indem man Genossenschaft gründete, Vereine etc.
Ich kann eigentlich auch nur für die ganzen Vereine sprechen. Die sind alle sehr beeindruckt davon, dass wir sowas in Erwägung gezogen haben, um einem Dorfleben nicht sterben zu lassen.
Was ich eben schon gesagt habe, positiv ist wirklich, dass sich also wirklich über 250 Leute, sage ich mal, mit dem Neustädter Hof verbunden fühlen und einen Anteil gezeichnet haben. Und es haben wirklich die ganze Bandbreite des Alters und deswegen machen wir hier auch weiter.
Siamo stati il primo comune con comunità montana a fondare una cooperativa.
L'obiettivo è stato quello di creare lavoro e coesione sociale attraverso un modello di economia integrata.
Pensavamo all'inizio di poter occupare soltanto 3-4 persone. Invece dopo 4 anni di attività ci troviamo con 120 dipendenti, di cui oltre la metà stabili, mentre una cinquantina sono stagionali.
Our cooperative works first of all in the green and environment sector. We work for creating a safe and a nice environment where our citizens can live. The second sector where we work is cleaning. Cleaning, especially homes and hospitals for old people. At the moment, more than 90% of our activities are commissioned by the local authorities. Now we want to make a change towards the open market, the free market, and the community tourism is the way we're trying to do this. We have 2 apartments in Perarolo di Cadore, in a beautiful building called Palazzo Lazzaris.
È un lavoro di accoglienza dei viaggiatori in cui noi non vendiamo il Cadore, ma offriamo alla pari la possibilità di scambiarci esperienze.
È un'esperienza che abbiamo iniziato da circa un anno in via, diciamo, sperimentale, diventando soci del consorzio LEMAT, che è un consorzio che è nato in Italia, che lavora con molte cooperative sociali, quindi che fanno inserimento di persone svantaggiate con disabilità.
I like to define myself a social entrepreneur because I think that in order to change something in this world, we have to use the entrepreneurial method, which means to see the resources and to develop the resources. I learned this working with very excluded people, disabled people, people coming from the mental health hospitals, and we discovered that these people and these places are full of resources that can be used to develop a different economy. In Italy, we developed social cooperatives in the end of the 70s because there was no chance for people with disabilities or with experience in mental illness, or at least many young people to find a job. And at least people didn't want to find a normal job, but they wanted to do things they enjoyed, they thought to be socially useful. And we thought, in the big enterprise, the big hotel chains use franchising. So why we don't use franchising? But because what means franchising? That you replicate already proven good practices, something what functions. And for us it was important not only to have economic sustainability, but we also wanted an environmental sustainability, and what was at least more important was that the people working in the cooperative could experience a social empowering. They were no more only low-cost workers, but the owners of their hotel, they could decide which kind of marketing and things like that. So we thought to set up a brand of social entrepreneurs in tourism. So we developed this LEMAT, special places, special people, special values.
Everybody has his strong side. As we don't work with problems of the people, of the handicap of the people, we work with the side of the people who are very strong. Because everybody have his good side. business like another, and like a hotel, a restaurant, and we have a mission to activate the people who has lost their job, who has problems.
These are the first victims of a crisis, and we have about here 28 people which are learning to work in the kitchen, to clean up the rooms, because if they are learning here, afterwards they can go to the regular market and to work there.
In fact, we collect everything. What's still in good shape, but not for not longer use for the owner.
We are recycling here in the Flemish side of Belgium for 77%.
The local authority pays us 10 cents per kilogram we collect. So that is very important. We have the exact weight of everything we collect. But the most important thing for us is employment.
In the 5 shops we have, and in our center in Ruddervoorde, we have 200 people who work, and from those 160 work with a social contract.
We employ people who are at least 5 years unemployed and low skilled.
Work in the regular enterprises is not available for everybody. They ask more and more of the people, more and more diplomas. You have capacities, more and more capacities, and there are people who don't have them.
We work together with the social service of the municipality, and they also have a program. They send people over here.
Oostkamp, so the city and social services, has always been active in the social employment, but we are blessed, I must say, blessed that a lot of great private partners are active here in Oostkamp.
They stay over here for 1 year, 1.5 years, and then we support them to find a job. But they also get a chance to get a driving license over here, to get experience, so they can have more skills.
I was 5 years without work, and at my age it was not easy to find work, and now I work here 4.5 years, and I like it. It was not go further, not the production. It's just you can work on your own time, the way you fast, slowly, but work.
If we give money to social enterprises, it's also because they do things for the people. They give them work, and not only work, they give services to the people.
Nowadays we convinced government we are necessary, and not only we, also other social economic projects.
We don't want to be another Roodhof or another Kringloop center. That's not necessary, that's not good. We have to talk with them, we have to look what are their needs, and if a government can do something to help them to have more employment or have more facilities, then we have to do it. And I think that Oostkamp do their best in this.
They don't give money away, they just invest. They don't have to employ themselves, now we do it for them. Because nobody else can take it. A local government cannot do this. Private company wouldn't do it. Because it doesn't make that profit. Not the big money. You won't make big money with this. But in fact, they save money by investing money in social economy projects. They know that social employment is very important, not only today, also for the future.
Our resources are limited, and unlimited growth and limited resources don't go together. So it wouldn't be the right way to use as many resources as possible and then not care about the future. We do have consumers and target groups who want to buy second-hand washing machines because they have understood what sustainable consumption means. They also support a social initiative because we only employ long-term unemployed people here and sometimes people with disabilities, and they also do something good for the environment.
Seit 2001, also 11 Jahre bin ich jetzt im Rus.
Mein Name ist Aman Habib. I am electronics technic. I have here exactly 10 years.
Es ist sehr schön hier, es ist sehr kollegial, also wir halten alle zusammen, es gibt bei uns kein Mobbing oder so irgendwas, also es ist wirklich sozial und kameradschaftlich bei uns.
Ich habe so viel gelernt, das ist hier, ja.
We started a social business in 1998 when it was not possible to get serious repair services. We can repair washing machines, dishwashers, electrical stoves, TV sets, VCRs, whatsoever, even laptops, which others would not repair anymore. And this is well known to the Viennese population meanwhile. Repair and Service Center Rus was also a founding member of the European Umbrella for Social Economy enterprises active in the field of reuse and recycling. We were successful in lobbying the so-called WE directive. Without our activities, this directive would not say the reuse of whole appliances has top priority, and the Waste Framework Directive, which is even more important, now says in Article 11 that member states have to support reuse and repair networks. As we were very successful at the beginning already, we had to find partners, and this was the birth of a whole network, the so-called Repair Network Vienna, meanwhile consisting of 55 members who also follow our concept and try to make their living out of repair services and not by selling new products.
Our business is recycling of electronic waste. Yeah? We do it in 3 sectors. The one is despollution and manual dismantling of electronic waste. Yeah? But we also try to get as much of reusable appliances out of our input
and to put it back into the second-hand market. Yeah? And we have a third department where we produce design products out of electronic components. With quite a lot of our products, we already won design prizes. For example, with this handbag, yeah, we've won 2 international prizes, design prizes, one in Spain and the other one in New York about 2 years ago. We are a social enterprise within the Wiener Volkshochschulen GmbH, which is the largest adult education provider in the German-speaking world. We integrate long unemployed persons back into the regular job market again. We do it via temporary job contracts, and we do this as a service for the Austrian government. Yeah. To be able to work, yeah, is a very important matter for everybody. Yeah. So I think doing reintegration of long unemployed persons is a very important service for the community, for the society.
Η λακωνική βιοενεργειακή ιδρύθηκε από 30 λάκωνες, κυρίως Σπαρτιάτες, οι οποίοι είχαν την αίσθηση ότι πρέπει να λύσουμε το πρόβλημα των απορριμμάτων. Το πρώτο μας μέλημα ήταν να φτιαχτεί ένα εκπαιδευτικό κομμάτι, που εκεί ο κάθε πολίτης, στο σχολείο, τα νηπιαγωγεία που έχουν έρθει εδώ ή απλοί πολίτες, μαθαίνουν ότι τα προϊόντα αυτά που έχουν στο σπίτι τους, εάν τα πετάξουν όλα μαζί, αυτό που κάναμε μέχρι τώρα και αυτό που κάναμε σίγουρα τον προηγούμενο αιώνα, είναι σκουπίδια. Εάν όμως τα δούμε σαν προϊόντα, αυτά ξαφνικά παίρνουν πολυοικονομικές διαστάσεις. Το έργο αυτής της εταιρείας πλέον έχει ξεκινήσει από τον Απρίλιο του 2012 και μέσα στους αυτούς τους λίγους μήνες έχει συγκεντρωθεί αυτό το υλικό που βλέπετε. Είναι περίπου 2.500 άτομα οι οποίοι φέρνουν το προϊόν εδώ διαχωρισμένο, ζυγίζεται, καταγράφεται το όνομά τους και στην ουσία στο τέλος της διαδικασίας αυτής υπάρχει ένα ποσό ανά είδος. Υπάρχει ένας τιμοκατάλογος δηλαδή, το οποίο ανάλογα τα κιλά χαρτί που φέρνει, ανάλογα τα πλαστικά που φέρνει, ανάλογα τα τηγανέλαια που φέρνει, θα πληρωθεί στην τράπεζα. Το επόμενο βήμα είναι το πραγματικά επιχειρησιακό. Εντός των λίγων εβδομάδων η εταιρεία θα αγοράσει το πρώτο της απορριμματοφόρο. Αυτό που κάνει τώρα να το φέρνει, απλώς θα τα παίρνουμε συνδρομητικά από το σπίτι του, από την πόρτα του. Και θα περιμένει στο τέλος του χρόνου, αν είναι και μέτοχος, να πάρει χρήματα πίσω. Αυτή τη στιγμή απασχολούνται 3 άτομα. Και ήδη υπάρχει σχεδιασμός αυτά τα άτομα, αν συνεχίσουμε με το σχέδιο που έχουμε, να γίνουν 30. Άρα αντιλαμβάνεστε ότι έχει εντάσσεως εργασίας η όλη διαχείριση και όχι εντάσσεως κεφαλαίου. Επομένως, όσο πιο πολλά απορρίμματα έρχονται, με αυτόν τον τρόπο σαν προϊόντα, τόσο πιο πολλά άτομα θα αρχίσουν να δουλεύουν εδώ.
People who are in contact with each other have a better health and they have lower health costs. We are reorganizing the healthcare delivery for about 30,000 people in a small area called Kinzigtal. That we are totally sure about the possibility of delivering a better care and a more respectful care for the patients and a less costing care for the insurances. And this triple aim is not an invention only by us. There are lots of initiatives all over the world who try to reach this point and who are convinced that better care and less costs are not a contradiction, but it's a possibility. We are around 350 people working inside this project, physicians in offices, physicians in hospitals, physiotherapists, the nursing homes, the ambulatory care nurses that are going around to the houses, and it's a real big group of a lot of communication is being done inside. And our contract between the cooperative, the physicians and us, and the social security system is that we earn the money they save. And this intermediate association, Gesundes Kinzigtal, Healthy Kinzigtal, that is an organization that gets money only if it's successful. And so investing into the social fabric of this region is reducing healthcare costs. So health is not only being done by physicians, it's only about 30% normally that accounts for medical help. 70% is more the social fabric, and we try to help the people really getting in a good shape. So we invest money today thinking that in the long run and for the next 2, 3, 4 years we get lower costs of care at all. And it is working. We have this situation that our investment really comes to the point that people have less use of hospitalization during the year.
We started with this enterprise in '75 when there were a lot of action groups and all left groups who were active and did not have money to pay normal printing work. It was very expensive at the time.
Because I work here for over more than 30 years, so I never changed work.
The way of working is completely different. You don't have to ask permission for everything. Different from other companies, we're all owners of the company, and in fact we're all directors. Sometimes people enter here and they ask for the boss and say, no, there's no boss. Difficult to understand.
You can decide what you do with your job. You can decide with the other members where your company is going to.
And it can take some time. It's slower than one person who says yes or no. But when the decision is taken, everybody more or less agrees.
You can always adjust at certain moments. If, for instance, the economy is a bit low, you can decide collective to minimize the cost, so you don't have to fire people, for example.
Everybody who works here feels himself as a real person, not as just a working element.
We have no boss. we are our own bosses, so...
A lot of people come here and to see how they work and say, oh, it's very nice. But no, I stay with my boss, you know. It's more sure, yeah? It's better paid maybe. Yeah, it's a good idea, but when it comes to practice, then people do completely the opposite. If you see what people what their choices are in life, they choose for big cars, not for big quality. It's unbelievable, but that's what they do. Losing money, that's terrible. That's terrible. Yeah. If you have more time, of more happiness, of more nature, okay. But losing money, that's terrible. Yeah. What we do is good, of course. Is good for some people, but it will not be possible for us to change the whole economy. It can be a part of a solution, but only a part. I think at the same time we need political action who change the system, who change the political way of doing, who can give pressure enough to the banks to change.
There has to be a change of the whole economy. And I'm convinced that this is an already ongoing process.
They can learn more from problems in cooperatives than from the easy success you can have.
We have a deep interest to keep the coherence of the European integration and to keep the coherence of the euro. So we need the reforms, but as they were set up to basically continue with tax evasion and let the rich get away with all their profits they made in the last 20 years of liberalization, but putting all the costs of adaptation to the middle class and the poorest, this cannot win the hearts of the people.
Small-scale green economy has really a large potential, but people still don't see it. They see it must be big and large economies of scale, but I think it's more like you must have a lot of small initiatives, and that is what people today want.
We think that local projects better are for the future of Europe. The great projects have a target to be very, very successful and form for money. That's not what the people want. And not only the things are very, very great and the people are very small. That's not the future.
The politicians in Europe think that social entrepreneurs aren't real entrepreneurs. And this is the biggest mistake they do. Because I think that at least we are better entrepreneurs, because we see resources where nobody else sees resources. The political parties speak about social economy, about definitions, things like this, and they don't speak about the people doing it. They don't give these people empowerment, the way to speak about their practices. How can I say in a political way? Power to the people.
By comparing all the different implementations of the European directives, we will be able to go to these European institutions and to national governments, and we will confront them with the fact that the citizens and their cooperatives are not equal everywhere in Europe, and that's something they don't like. Yeah.
There is no economical future other than green economy. There is no other future. So actually it's just a question, will we do it now or will we just postpone it to the next generation? And in my opinion, we've done bad things enough for the generations to come, so we might as well just do the step now.
Perché questa modernità tu non riesci a governarla mettendo in prigione il capitale, devi governarla mettendo in libertà i cervelli.
O in maniera cooperativa ci salviamo tutto o non salveremo nessuno.
The only steady thing in life is change. You can be sure that we will always change.
people change, society changes. And so we're in the midst of another change. We're in the midst of a third revolution. And this revolution will include, of course, the production of energy, decentralized, localized, regionalized.
For me, it's a change of the economy, not necessarily less of consumption. It's another kind of consumption. You know, it's not the story of less and less. It's a story of better and better. Of course we need more if we look in the social fields, if we look in the ecological fields. There is more needed.